Hi everybody, this is your volunteer coordinator, Danny. This month we're going to be talking about dealing with crises with your mentees. I know recently a lot of you have dealt with specific issues that have come up, ranging from simple things like doing poorly in school to some really big issues that we've had this year dealing with our kids. So I just wanted to briefly today go over some ways that you can help your mentees cope during a crisis and how you can cope with them. This month's training, as always, is adapted from the U.S. Department of Education's ongoing training for mentors, and there will be a quiz that you'll need to complete after watching the video. So during this training, we're going to be talking about what exactly is a crisis, how you can be helpful to your mentee during the crisis, some tips for talking to your mentee about staying safe, and then at the end we'll talk about your follow-up. There are 3 types of issues that we'll be talking about. The first is delicate topics, and those might include sex, peer pressure, hygiene, behavior, alcohol and drugs, school performance, self-image and personal insecurities, and class and cultural identity. Delicate topics are likely to come up during discussions between you and your mentee. Therefore, you generally should be able to handle these topics directly with your mentee. You don't necessarily need to come to me anytime these are brought up. Caution does need to be taken, however, since these topics can be touchy and they also can strongly affect the relationship. Generally speaking, delicate topics should be discussed only when initiated by the mentee, and confidentiality takes on greater importance when your mentee brings up these types of topics. So you are encouraged to seek support and feedback when you need it, but like we said, generally these are things that you can discuss from your own personal experience, give advice and give feedback on how to use problem-solving skills to handle these type of issues. Next are issues of concern. These have more significant implications in the life of your mentee, and they may include unsafe sex, fist fighting, minor delinquent behavior, gang affiliation, drug and alcohol abuse, divorce, and the loss of a family member or friend. Since these are a little more sensitive, they may have stronger implications, we're going to ask that you do report these directly to me if this ever comes up during a mentoring session. These issues, however, might not require direct intervention. Many of these issues are going to be ongoing conditions that your mentee faces, and you may just need to be able to accept these aspects of your mentee's life without judgment. It's important that as mentors and as a mentoring program, we don't focus too heavily on changing the behavior of the mentee when these issues arise. However, we do need to be aware of the challenges that your mentee is going to face, and over time we may be able to help them overcome some of these issues. So if your mentee is coming to you and telling you that they have engaged in delinquent behavior or fighting or even unsafe sex or gang affiliation, those aren't things that we can solve, but they are things that we can guide the mentee through the problem-solving process and hopefully one day guide them out of that. Finally, the most serious of the 3 types of issues that you'll deal with are crises requiring intervention. And as the name suggests, these are never issues that you're going to handle alone. Crises are of grave concern and may require direct or immediate intervention. You will never be expected to handle crises alone. These might include child abuse and neglect, abusive relationships, pregnancy and STDs, health problems, drug and alcohol abuse or chemical dependency, severe violence, arrest and extensive delinquency, depression and suicidality, mental illness, and other trauma. Some of these, like child abuse and neglect, are mandated by law to be reported. Texas law says that anyone who thinks a child is being abused, neglected, or exploited must report it to the Department of Family and Protective Services. Some of these other issues may require a referral or direct intervention by Fortress. Many of these situations will require collaboration with the family of the mentees, and this will be handled by Fortress. So if any of these issues come up, it is not your sole responsibility to report it to the families or to report it to the authorities. Those will be things that we may have you participate in, but we're never going to ask that you handle this by yourself. Your first step will be to come directly to us immediately if any of these things ever come up. How can you be helpful in a time when your mentee has disclosed any of those issues we just discussed with you? First, we're going to ask that you think back to a time when you were really stressed out or were experiencing some sort of crisis. How did you cope with that situation? We're going to talk about some questions or phrases to help you remember what you did so that you can pass that on to your mentee and give them new coping strategies. So first, what helped you remain calm or become more relaxed during a stressful time? Were there any people in your life during that time who helped you? Imagine their tone of voice. And what did they say or do that was helpful? And that will give you kind of an idea of what you can do for your mentee. Also think of what kind of physical surroundings made you feel better and what activities did you take that helped you cope. And these are strategies and coping mechanisms that you can pass on to your mentee during a time of crisis. These are 10 hints for helping your mentee through a crisis. Number 1 is sitting at eye level with the young person. Your body language is going to translate to how comfortable your mentee is talking to you. So taking a relaxed pose where you are on level with your mentee will be helpful. Not acting surprised, shocked, or angry when hearing about the crisis, but at the same time being honest and understanding that it is a difficult situation. So you're going to want to remain calm and keep a level tone, a level voice, and really just empathize with your mentee during that time and that they shared with you, and being understanding that whether or not you agree with the situation, that you understand it was difficult for them. And then you're going to want to remain calm and compassionate about the child's experience. Don't pressure your mentee to tell you more than he's ready to tell you or comfortable telling you. Instead, use open-ended questions to allow your mentee to continue if he is comfortable. Don't make judgmental statements about the situation. Try to remain really neutral. Acknowledge that your mentee trusted you enough to tell you. That's a really big deal. Reflect back to your mentee what feelings he or she is expressing, whether that's verbal or not. So if they're verbally or non-verbally showing you that they're angry about something, tell them, I can see that you're angry about that. The same goes for any emotion that they may be displaying. Affirm that the youth is using his or her coping skills, and these can be healthy or unhealthy, but you want to recognize the coping skills that your mentee is showing, and that way that they can identify that that's what they're doing. They might not even be aware that they're using coping mechanisms. Be honest about what you have to do with the information your mentee has given you. Don't make promises you can't keep about not telling anybody, because there are times where you will be legally obligated to share information, or we will have specifically asked you to share information that your mentee may be telling you. So if they're disclosing to you that there is drug abuse in their home, you need to tell them, honestly, I have to tell somebody else about this. If they're talking to you just more hypothetically about alcohol and drugs, or a friend of theirs who offered them drugs, that's not anything that you have to report. And finally, you're going to brainstorm your mentee's options and offer appropriate resources. We talked a couple months ago about how to talk to your mentee about problem solving, and this is a great time to use those skills that you gained during that training and and help your mentee come up with solutions to the problems they may be facing. Sometimes when a mentee has experienced a crisis, it's not a specific incident that occurred once and is over. Most of the time, your mentee is going to be living in a situation that is unsafe, whether that be mental illness, abuse, or violence that surrounds them. In these cases, it's helpful to explore with your mentee ways in which he can protect himself or stay safe if he's facing a dangerous situation. A mentor can help the mentee plan ahead by discussing safety and helping him identify people and places he can access if he's in danger. So we're going to go over the following questions and talking points that will help your mentee create a mental plan for staying safe. If possible, if you do this with your mentee, have them write down some of this information on a note card or something they can keep with them that will help them stay safe in a crisis. First, you'll talk about who can you call if you need help. Always remind your mentee that if it's an emergency to call 911. But you may also want to have them write down their parents' numbers or grandparents, aunts and uncles, Fortress's number, maybe even yours. Number 2, if you feel unsafe in your neighborhood, where can you go to ask for help or to use the phone? Fortress obviously is a great option during hours that we're open. A resource that you may not be aware of, we have a police department right here in our neighborhood. It's just administrative offices, but it's the Hazel Harvey Peace Center for Neighborhoods, and it is located just a few blocks south of us that they can always go to if they need help. Also, Van Zant Gwyn is right across the street from us. If you feel unsafe at school, who can you talk to? It's good to have your mentee explore 2 to 3 options of who they can go to at school if they ever feel unsafe. If you feel unsafe at home, where can you go in the house to stay safe? Again, have them explore 2 to 3 options of places they can go at home if anything ever happens and they need to get out of that immediate situation. And then finally, if you have to leave the house, where will you go to seek help or to use the phone? And again, this can be any of our neighborhood places that we've talked about, or a friend, neighbor, or relative's house. Remind your mentee that he can talk to you or any of us at Fortress if he ever feels afraid or unsafe, but if he's in immediate danger, he should call 911. So looking forward, here's what we want you to take away from this training. You do have an assignment that's due by the end of the month. The link can be found in your email or in the description box under this video. The quiz is just going to be a scenario that you'll choose, and it'll ask you questions about how you help your mentee cope with one of these hypothetical situations. And then as a reminder, if you're ever unsure of how to deal with a difficult situation, please seek me out. I would love to talk to you about what you can do and how you can help your mentee overcome a situation. I doubt that I will ever have an immediate answer, but I would love to look up resources for you, and we do have a lot of connections here at Fortress with other agencies that may be able to help if we're unable to. And then finally, if you feel like your mentee is in immediate danger, contact any Fortress administrator immediately, or if necessary, immediately contact authorities or the Department of Family and Protective Services. We never want a child to go home to a situation that is dangerous or unsafe if we can help it. So if anything like that comes up, we will ask that you do not hesitate to contact us. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll look forward to next month's training. Thanks, guys.